Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching this session around the globe, wherever you may be. My name is Bharat Agarwal. I'm the chapter director of Startup Grind New Delhi. And I am super excited to be leading this fireside chat for you guys. So, the topic for this session is something that I care about very deeply. It is about B2B e-commerce in India, and specifically about using technology to empower small businesses. And to talk about this today, we have with us today a very special guest. And I think he is the perfect guest for talking about this topic. And his name is Mr. Sujeet Kumar. He is the co-founder of udaan.com, India's largest B2B e-commerce platform, being valued at somewhere around $3.1 billion dollars, and also holding the very unique title of being India's fastest unicorn. Right. Sujeet, sir, if I'm not wrong, that's like 26 months from being founded. You guys were a unicorn.
Yeah. But yeah, I think just a you can say PR headline.
Of course. I mean, it's a good sounding headline. So, I would like to thank you so much for being here and taking out time for us from your day. I know Udan just recently raised another $280 million. Total capital raised by you guys would be around $1.1 billion at this point. And you just did that in January, the $280 million. So things must be super crazy. Things must be hectic right now for you. So, I just want to start by asking, like, how are you doing? How is everything?
Hey, hi Bharat. First of all, for inviting me and such a wonderful event. We are
Oh,
doing
it's my
great.
pleasure.
Yeah, we are doing great. You know that there is a pandemic. We are not in the middle of it, but you can say that there is always you can say that there is a fear it can come back. India definitely
Right.
has improved drastically what it was in month of July, August. I think the number of cases are not that high, but still in the
Mm-hmm.
mind, it's very new, and still people are not traveling that much. So
Right.
things are given that situation. I think we are doing great. Thanks. Yeah.
All right. So, you know, I would like to proceed by sort of setting some context for everyone watching, because this is a very unique topic. It's a very India specific topic, right? B2B e-commerce for small businesses in India, I think, is different from most developed or even developing nations. So, why don't you start by telling us like what B2B e-commerce and commerce, actually looks like in India from the perspective of small and medium businesses?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Bharat. But prior to that, I would like to uh, do the context setting, giving my
Hmm.
background, let's say, introduction. So, yeah.
Sure.
So, prior to Udan, I was with the Flipkart for
Right.
almost a founding team of Flipkart. It was a B2C, it is a B2C e-commerce company, and
Right.
India's
You were
largest
the
B2C.
Yeah, you were the vice president of operations, right? For I think the from the starting of Udaan, from Flipkart.
Yeah, I think you can say that we have three of us started almost the company. So I was
Hmm.
from almost day zero. So I was leading all the operation and category management. Why I'm telling you because having spent time almost around 7.5 years in B2C in India, and I have
Hmm.
seen very closely how it has evolved because Flipkart has started that phenomena of selling things online. Let's say e-commerce started e-commerce in India,
Right.
and in 7.5 years we have seen that in India most of the purchase were happening from like top 5-10 cities.
Right.
And so India is very different. I think for the context setting, India is very different kind of demography. If you'll see 35-36% populations are so-called urban and rest of it are rural population. Am I right?
Hmm.
And given the population of around 1.3 billion. It's a huge country, am I right? And out of that, around 8 to 10% only were doing kind of B2C e-commerce. And
Right.
so when after 7.5 years spent time in B2C, I think then we were reflecting back. Hey, India is very different than the Western setup or Western country where the retails are organized, where things are more predictable. Here, if you'll see in India, people are consuming through these 20, 25 million small retailers. So
Yeah.
even today, more than 90% of the retail in this country and people consume through these small retailer of let's say more than 25, 30 billion small shops of various
Hmm.
form. So then we realized, hey, to solve the impact the commerce, we have to first see hey, what suits India need, because we cannot borrow some idea and just fit in India. The whole consumption pattern, their pricing, their supply chain, local challenges are very different than the other country. So
Right.
we have started thinking in that direction, but at the same time, in India, if you see around 2015-16, around 2014-15-16, internet penetration was growing like crazy, and some
Yeah.
of the fundamental decision and the reforms government have done on back of it, if you'll see, those internet has gone from let's say couple of let's say 80 90 million in 1 or 2 year. It has grown to 200. Now it's around 500 600 million internet
Mm.
users. Almost it has penetrated, you can say, the real India too. All these small
Right.
businesses, because of the cost of the data has gone drastically down. If I'm not wrong, India, the cost of data is the cheapest in the world. So I
Yeah.
think that has helped. That has helped. People have come on internet, started using internet for their businesses, for their personal need. They started browsing catalog, started communicating on WhatsApp and all. These small businesses started using internet as a growing the business. I think that was the phenomena it has started. So we have thought, let's to start some venture. Given the internet, it can organize these 30, 40 million. And if in India, I'm just referring that in India, if you see, there are more than 60 million small businesses out there.
Hmm.
Out of that, all kind of businesses. Out of that, around 20, 25 millions are retail shops, where we call it here in India, we call it kirana shops, right?
Right.
Or
For the Americans, that's the, yeah,
mom
the
and
mom and
pop
pop store.
neighborhood shop, yeah,
Yeah.
neighborhood store. So and that's everywhere. Doesn't matter if you are in a tier 1 city, a metro city, or a smaller tier 4 city, or urban rural. These and their sizes varies from 100 square feet to let's say 500 square feet. That's the typical size of these shops. So, and almost all these shops or kirana store and mom and pop stores were on the internet. So we have started this venture given on the back of the reform in the country, which one of the biggest reform has happened, one tax, one country. GST has been implemented in year 2017.
Right.
So any of the problem, given our B2C supply chain challenges I have seen, GST was the largest reform on in this country. On back of it, you can solve the supply chain logistic in a most logical way. Otherwise, prior to that, it was very hard to solve because
Hmm.
each and every province or state has a different tax structure. So logically, you cannot solve those supply chain rather than you are optimizing for tax. So that has gone, that hurdle has gone. So there is the infrastructure, internet has penetrated, reform has happened. And then it was a well setting to address the India need of how to solve the commerce. So
Mm-hmm.
I think in center of that, we have to strengthen all these 25 million retail shops through improving their supplies, giving them better selection, giving them better service, giving them better price for their merchandising, financing also, because in trade, in B2B, you need financing. And
Okay.
in this country, if you'll see the penetration of lending to these mom and pop shops are not there because of they
Okay.
are not formalized or formally they're not the part of the formal economy because they are sometimes lagging their KYC taxations and all.
Right.
And we have the edge through the internet where we through the data, their browsing, their transactions, their geolocations, their delivery behavior, their overall, you can underwrite them or give them some kind of limit so that they can use those limits to purchase items.
I
So
see.
for the context of the audience, these mom and pop on shops on an average serves around, let's say, 100, like 70, 80 families. You put it like this on an average.
Right.
And they serve their requirements of day to day anything they consume, from the grocery to some of the appliances, some of the small items, unbranded. Most of these are unbranded things in India. So we
So,
first
so,
want, yeah, yeah.
so one question that I want to ask, since you mentioned Flipkart and credit, I mean, there's two questions I want to ask. First, like, before you co-founded Udaan, I think you left Flipkart in 2015, and then you were, and I think consulting as an angel investor, right? With Tiger Global, I think.
Yeah, you can say that, but I think I was with the Flipkart only, but it was cool off period, you can say that. In
Right.
that cool off period, I
So
was kind of spending some time of giving consultancy to Tiger, but
I
it
see.
was a very light arrangement. But I was with the
So
Flipkart.
yeah. So like when you left Flipkart, did you want to leave Flipkart to start Udaan, or was it you wanted to leave Flipkart because you were like, I want to retire, like I've made enough money, I've done a lot with my life, I'm done. What was it?
I think it was not like that. It was, I have seen a journey from almost zero to $15 billion. When I left Flipkart, it was a $15 billion
Right.
valuation at that time. The thought was, let's take a break after 7.5 years and figure it
Hmm.
out. Hey, what next? It was not like retirement. Definitely, as an operating
Okay.
person, I don't think anybody can retire.
Of
Just
course.
taken without having anything in a mind. I was just taking a break to figure out what next, and
Hmm.
that where we have figured it out. Let's start Udaan with
So,
Amol and Vaibhav.
so do you think in founding Udaan, your experience in Flipkart and in establishing the supply chain and logistics arm of Flipkart, eCart, right? It was the first of its kind in the country as well.
Yep.
So do you think that experience really helped you in, in operations and founding Udaan and, doing everything, sort of getting sort of that culture and sort of practices from Flipkart, that you developed?
Yeah, almost everything has helped us. So, in any of, because I think at the end of the day, if you'll see, Flipkart was also e-commerce company, and
Right.
Udaan is also e-commerce company. But this is a very similar kind of need. Let's say you need a back-end team, like you said, the software aspect like culture, how to build teams, culture, supply chain. So all those things we have learned in Flipkart, and we have done our mistakes. Definitely, when we have started Udaan with a huge advantage of the
Of
similarity of
course.
and nature of the business. So how to build team, what kind of system you required, what are the things where you have to develop backends and all. So we didn't have to go through those iterative process. We have already done that. Definitely
Hmm.
here, the biggest challenge was how to accommodate the need of B2B. It's very different than
Hmm.
B2C. And one has to
Right.
understand. consumers buy, and in our learning, consumers buy, and whenever you give them better pricing, definitely surveys, pricing, and selections. Again, it's the same thing, but that's an intuitive buy. Let's say if something is cost you around 100 rupees, and if you offer them some discount, 20-30% discount, they are intent to buy those items. But
Mm-hmm.
in B2B, you have to develop a relations with that shopkeeper, because it's a
Right.
livelihood, and you cannot give a random discount, because they have to see that, hey, you are a reliable supplier, and you're going to supply not the one time, rather than every time, with the predictability, and what's your cost dynamics. You have to develop a
Mm-hmm.
relationship, because they cannot take that risk of their supplier at risk tomorrow, because they are also selling to consumers. And if you are not able to supply those items continuously, then you are, doesn't matter how much discount you give, they will not buy from you. So what I'm saying, those things are important, but here the new angle is you have to build that strong relationship, give them the confidence, we are your strong partner. I think that was the
Mm-hmm.
biggest difference. But other than that, I think we had a huge advantage of how to build team, how to build system,
Of course.
how to address those problems. Yeah.
So my next question, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit. You mentioned credit, and in researching for our interview, I saw that the unaddressed SME here is small and medium enterprises. Credit demand in India is almost 300 to 350 billion dollars. That's a huge market. And I'm not aware if your competitors are even doing that, like that you're offering credit. So why do you think like giving unsecured credit to, your retailers that use your platform? Why do you think that was an important aspect that you had to include?
So, like you rightly said, that in trade, like informally, there are lendings happening, but
Mm-hmm.
those are happen through various. In India, there are wholesalers. I think there is a term called gaddi. The people who lend this credit to these retailers, right?
Right.
Those are unsecured. They are not untapped. That's why it's huge. Only, I think, given our strategic advantage of our platform, where we
Mm-hmm.
have a supplier and there are buyer, and we have a huge data of behavior, their browsing, their what they buy, what they locations are, how big their shops are. So with that advantage, our ability to underwrite is much better than anybody else. Let's say bank or
I
any
see.
NBFC.
Right.
So what we are doing here, on the same platform, we are supplying the goods to the buyer. The buyer need a credit. Earlier, the credit they were getting from some of the agents or the same supplier. So there was a huge
Mm-hmm.
just dissociating from supply to the credit, so that the
I see.
person can go to the best of the supplier. They should not,
Mm-hmm.
on the back of the credit, they should not accept the inferior quality or inferior supply of the supplier. So on this
Right.
platform, I am just saying, I'm giving the confidence to supplier also, they will get their money, but they have to maintain their quality. Suppliers are here are manufacturers, brand owners, importers, and buyers. Just earlier, what they were buying, because these wholesaler distributors are supplying these items of, let's say, even they are giving an inferior quality, they have to accept, because they are providing the credit also. On our platform, I'm just dissociating. I'm saying that, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you can take credit, but that credit you can buy from any of the supplier.
I
And
see.
I'm telling the supplier, you can sell your item to any of the buyers. You don't have to verify their credibility. Already platform have done that, and
Mm-hmm.
you will get your money. So I'm securing both ways.
I see.
Yeah, and like you
Right.
said, it's a huge opportunity, and at the same
Huge
time,
opportunity.
Yeah, it's the same time. These lending business, you have to build with the very patience, long term behavior analytics, how people are behaving. You should not give them the leverage and freedom to, hey, take credit and just do your business randomly. No, you have to watch out
Hmm.
how they are increasing their business. So all those things
Hmm.
are possible on the platform, watching of their various lots of data analysis, how they are, their disciplines, their default, their inventory churn, their working capital management. So that's how over time you build a great business. And the credit is a patience. With the patience, you should build that business rather than in hurry lend lots of money. It's not book building
Right.
exercise. Yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
basically, I mean, it's very amazing that you guys are using technology and data analytics. And I don't know if you guys are using artificial intelligence as well. You can answer that. That you're using basically all this technology to sort of hedge the risk that comes from giving out unsecured loans. And you're sort of empowering these small businesses who traditionally would not be able to get a loan from a bank or any like reputed financial institution, right?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. So are you guys using like some insight on the technology that you guys are using? Is there AI involved or what sort of like some basic, I guess, processing? How do you guys do that?
I think definitely. I think it's a step to step because on day zero you cannot apply AI. So you have to
Of course.
have enough data, right?
Of course.
And we have, and that's how like machine learning, and then definitely AI. But as a technology company, we have to do all those things. So
Of course.
we are in the process of building all these intelligence where our accuracy should improve every day, and these technology helps them to build those accuracy, and we don't have an
Hmm.
options to not use it, am I right? We have to use it.
Right. So I'm gonna take a quick pause here and sort of just read out some stats that I found on Udaan. Right. So Udaan has 3 million users, has 25,000 sellers across 900 cities and 12,000 pin codes, with 1.7 retailers, pharmacies, kirana stores, the mom and pop stores, etc., selling everything from fast moving consumer goods to fruits and vegetables to electronics to medications, doing over 4.5 million transactions every month. And these are not, they're not buying one product, like they're not buying, these are bulk transactions, right? They're buying, they're not buying one piece of something, they're buying 100
Yeah,
pieces, 1,000 pieces even, right? They're buying their month's supply. So these are huge numbers, right? For a startup that is just 5 years old, especially with a demographic that has, traditionally been hesitant in adopting technology. So I want to ask you, like, what is the secret sauce for this explosive growth, right? How have you guys done that?
I think Bharat, it's such a it's a great question, but at the same time, if you build a product which has a product market fit or requirement of that product is naturally fitting into the requirement of the business. I think that's
Hmm.
how I have seen uh, what you call explosive growth happens. So I think most important aspects is how you are benefiting that small shops, mom and pop shop or kirana store to grow their business. How you are giving a convenience to that shop so that they don't have to go here and there and unreliably getting their supply. So
Hmm.
all those aspects when you started solving, or how you are giving them the credit so that they can expand their business.
Hmm.
If you're solving all these problems, I don't see naturally they why they will go out of your platform. Point is, I think the most important aspects how they are coming to the platform or adopting the
I
platform.
see.
Yeah, I think, like I said, we were very clear. These are the requirement of the small businesses, as well as we understand their suppliers also. Supplier definitely want, or the manufacturer or brand owner definitely wanted to expand their business. We are providing that facility. So that's a natural fit for them. Natural fit for buyers are they are getting all their items without going anywhere. So if you understand India, like I said, 65% of population lives in the so-called rural areas. So all those
Right.
people who consumes, they go to nearby cities just to buy the item or get the supply for those small shops. Those
Right.
smaller cities are going to the higher cities. So give one stat. Let's say Delhi. Delhi supplies to a tier 2 city, and let's say it's Patna. Patna supplies to another tier 3 city, let's say it's a Muzaffarpur, Samastipur, or this kind of city. Those city another supply to the smaller, you can subdivisions or the rural area. So if you see structurally, there are 4, 5 layers. What we are saying, we are dismantling those layers, and every layer adds inefficiency and cost.
I see.
See, if I'm removing, I'm giving directly from all the manufacturer and brand owner directly to those retailers, then there's no need of these 5 layers.
I see. So you're basically eliminating inefficiencies and giving a very natural product like fit into the market. So
Yes.
when you were founding Udaan, was it like a one shot, one hit, like you had it in the first go, or you guys, I'm sure you guys must have done some market research, sort of talk to these retailers to understand, right? Understand their problems. And one thing that you mentioned earlier was also relationships with these retailers. That's very important. So what is your opinion on like doing this market research, and like how was that journey?
Yeah, it's a great question again. So Bharat, if you see, me, Babo, Amod, all comes from B2C background. All 3 of us were working in
Right.
retail. Um, with the back of that B2C heavily biased for action kind of mindset, it was not easy for us how to solve B2B. So if you see in June 2016, when we started the company, almost for a year, we were doing the research, doing our alpha and beta products, and just doing what kind of product suits the requirement of these buyers and suppliers both. So
I see.
we have run our beta product almost for a year or so. So we have
Wow.
started our operation in June 2017.
Hmm.
Just we got some confidence. Hey, this product is kind of, we can take it to the market where people can start doing the transaction. So
Right.
that's the one thing. Second, we have gone through various fundamental changes in our journey too, the choices. So
Okay.
with the Flipkart, which was a marketplace but heavily tilted towards 1 or 2 category, here the number of category like food in Flipkart, we never done that. But in trade, food is around 60-65% in India. You have to address
Right.
that, right? When I say
Of
that
course.
food is a staples, grocery, FMCG, fresh, we never done that. So how to solve the problem of that category? We were never had any idea. Uh, then we have started building the supply chain, their suppliers, because it's a huge category and highly, there are lots of layers where government are also involved because you understand APMC Act and all. So you have to solve those problems in a product. And we were started doing all building those products as well as choices like marketplace, first party. So I'll give one example.
Okay.
Marketplace and first party in B2B, FDIs are allowed in this country. B2C, they are restrictive in nature. Here, farmer, you cannot make them a seller on the platform because you need lots of like who will take care of cataloging. So you have to
Right.
build those capability of buy and sell, which is almost like a first party.
Right.
You know, I'll give an example. Marketplace is good for, let's say, clothing, because there
Right.
are millions of manufacturers, millions of selections. You cannot do first party, according to me, strategically.
Of course.
Because But let's say mobile phone, right?
Yeah.
You can do marketplace, but the 80% of the market controlled by three manufacturers.
Hmm.
Right. So you can do DTR, direct to retailer, can where you supply the
Right.
give them the supply chain solution as well as give them warehousing as a solution so that they can keep their inventory on your warehouse. But then let's say accessories for the mobile phone and electronics, which is highly unbranded, long tail.
Hmm.
That's a marketplace. So what I'm
Right.
saying, you are going by category, their problem solving, diagnosing their requirement, how buyer you can give them more and more propositions because they are looking for some of the every buyer have their profile. Am I right? Let's say
Hmm.
I'll give one example. If you are in Delhi, so let's say in a Connaught Place retailers, their profiles are very different than let's say Sadar Bazaar
Of course.
category. Am I right? But the
Yeah.
location, and you cannot say that I have the largest selection, but it has to be relevant selection for those retailers. So
I understand.
how to customize those selection for them?
Right.
Highly branded matters for Knot Place, but for Sadar Bazaar, it's highly unbranded, low price, and a high
Hmm.
volume. So those things you have to solve through technology, right? We had an idea about it, but refinement takes time. You have to
I
refine.
understand.
And
Yeah.
also, I'll say that every category has a different kind of credit behavior. Let's say for
Okay.
fashion, credit generally works in 45 to 60 days kind of setup, or more than that.
Right. Right.
Electronics works in a fashion of around 2 to 3 week kind of credit because of
Hmm.
so if you go in staples and FMCG because high liquid category, they are works on the 7 days kind of credit. So even
Hmm.
the credit product has to evolve in that fashion.
Yeah. I mean, it is truly like the success of Udaan is truly like an attestment to you guys' ability to sort of go into each of these segments, identify like the problems in each of these unique segments, and solve those problems for the retailers. So, I mean, it's kudos to you guys for doing that. That's amazing. And my next question would be sort of, you know, some wider trends that you're seeing in the industry. I know the B2B e-commerce industry was at a very nascent stage. There weren't any big players in the industry until you guys in the market until you guys entered. And now that everyone's seen your success, you got big players, already established companies such as Alliance Retail and Amazon entering the B2B e-commerce market. So, one, what do you think differentiates Udaan from these new players? And two, what are some wider trends that you're seeing in the industry that are related to technology?
I think, like I said, that we are different because our starting point was different. We have taken the
Hmm.
choice of B2B. Other people are entering might be the point of view of having B2C, but might be opportunity B2B is big. So our
Right.
problem solving are we are entrenched there. So that's the biggest
Hmm.
difference how I see. But at the end of the day, like I say, it's $1 trillion business happens, trade happens in
Hmm.
B2B. I don't believe there will be one or two players will going to control all these things
Of
because
course.
this is a huge opportunity. Definitely, we need more than one player, two or three players. But definitely, our advantage are our deep understanding. Our starting point itself was the conviction levels are very different.
Hmm.
Problem solvings are very different. We have some headway. I'm saying nobody can. I'm not going to say that nobody will do it, but everybody can do it. I'm saying, but it's about who understand and what's your priority also, right? How
Right.
you are conflicted with the other business also. That's one thing one has to take care of that. What was your other question, Bharat?
My other question was, what are some of the technology trends that you're seeing in the industry right now?
In B2B especially, you're saying?
Yeah, in B2B, what are some trends in general in the B2B e-commerce space that you're seeing right now?
I think there are, yeah, I think there, like you said, there are players like Amazon, Walmart, Reliance, other players are also entering. There are players like smaller players, Jumbotel, South Kirana, all of them
Mm-hmm.
are solving the B2B. Uh, I think various people are entering through various angles. Somebody entering through the SaaS as a product. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
how to empower, give them the SaaS solution to these retailers. So might be, I'm
Right.
just making it up. Let's say invoicing as a solution, working capital management, inventory
Right.
management, CRM solutions, am I right? So
Mm-hmm.
lots of things are happening. Like you said, people are entering from the various angle. And I'm saying that all of them are helping to solve the problem of retailers, suppliers, and it's too early to say how it will going to shape it up. Like we are
Mm-hmm.
full stack of e-commerce, am I right? For us,
Yeah.
transactions, supply chain, credit underwriting, category management, retail practices, customer support, customer, all those things, am I right? Definitely, we have our
Yeah.
own point of view about around SaaS as a solutions and all. But other peoples are entering through, let's say, different angles, like providing the SaaS solutions to the whole network.
Mm-hmm.
Some wanted to do pure lending, things like that. So I'm saying it's too early to say, but one thing is very sure, it's a huge opportunity, and I think it's a way to go. And things are on ground. If you'll see, people are recognizing, seeing some of the changes, but I'm saying it's very early to give any comment. Other than that, there is a definite requirement of uh, 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 these services at a different scale. Definitely, brand and supplies has to improve. It has to go into the main channel. Lots
Mm-hmm.
of other brands are not hesitant towards, hey, what will happen to our own network and all. All those problem has to solve, because lots of brand have their own distribution as a mechanisms to reach out to the retailers. How they will going to confront their existing network. So those things has to be see how it's evolving. But we are very confident of it will going to logically come on the channel which is lowest in the cost and most efficient from the capital point of view. I think
Of
that's
course.
how it will going to emerge.
I mean, I think you put it in a very plain and very simple manner that the best product is going to prevail at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Udaan is definitely one of those products for sure. I'm going to say that. So, I think we don't have a lot of time left. I think my last closing question is going to be, how has Udaan changed in the last 5 years? And, how do you think it's going to change in the next five?
I think other than our vision and missions, most of how parts are keep changing. I think that's the nature of the business. I
Hmm,
think we haven't changed our objective for sure from day
I see.
zero till now. So I think how is a part of that journey, and it has to change, because on the day zero you don't know how to address those problems.
Of
And
course.
how still I see it will be going to be constant for next 5 or 7 or 10 years.
Hmm.
But definitely our what will be the constant, but how it will going to change. Let's say more investment on supply chain side, category
Hmm.
management side, uh, 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 or lending side. All these things
Hmm.
will definitely go for change, because these things, all the solutions are attached to the scale also. What current scale and 10 times scales, the solutions will be very, very different. And definitely technology provide those solutions. That's why I'm saying that in absence of those technology, I don't think so we will be able to capture the opportunity. So our objective definitely will not going to change. But let's say currently, if I'm saying we are even less than a percent of the overall opportunity of doing a trade on our platform,
Right.
it has to happen. Let's say 10 to 15% in next to 7 to 10 years. That one of the largest transaction happens on the platform in the world. So that's how I see.
That's amazing. I am excited myself, like to see where Udaan goes next. I'm gonna be following you guys closely. Hopefully, uh, hopefully, I don't have to hope for it. I'm sure it's gonna happen. Udaan is gonna prevail, and I think it is great that the values. I think the last thing that I think we can also talk about are the values that Udaan, I think you mentioned earlier as well, you had in mind when you founded Udan, right? Enabling these small businesses and taking that to the next level, democratizing like the internet for retailers and giving them an option. That is truly amazing. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So, Sujeet, so if you have anything to add, I would be, now's the time.
Nothing to add. Nothing to add. I think only one thing I must say that hey, there's nothing wrong or right. If there is a great product market fit, I think one should
Mm-hmm.
chase and build. And it has to be very simple idea. In our mind, idea has to be simple. Execution definitely holds lots of complexity, and that's where you need patience, attentions, detailing.
Right,
But something big has to be very simple, but their executions are the key.
right. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so much, Sujeet sir, for your
yeah.
time today.
Thank,
And thank you for
thank you.
coming on for this session on B2B e-commerce in India and using technology to empower small businesses for startup going global. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Take care. Bye.